Mr. Murray, are you on the air with us?
I am indeed.
How nice
Guess
to hear
what
from
I
you.
was playing about with earlier on?
Your reserve?
Yes, one of them.
One of them?
Yeah, I was just out for a couple of hours. Didn't really have time to go to a site that would be suitable for actual flying, so we had a 90-degree plus crosswind. So just doing sort of wee hops, takeoffs from the top and down.
Mm.
But seeing the conditions were quite suitable for the sort of day you might be out flying.
Right.
But not suitable for practicing what we were about to start doing, filming reserve deployments. Not suitable for that. So one of the things was, took a reserve along, and on the flat park, popped it out, played about with it, found out just how much drag you can get, and worked on different ways of reaching up to then kill the reserve. Because, of course, the reserve is only the first stage of an emergency situation. Once you're on the ground, you're attached to something that's absolutely perfect for dragging you along, and you don't have any of the normal controls you're used to.
So
not the time you want to learn how to kill it.
Right. So what did you find was most effective?
Most effective one, without shadow of a doubt, on any form of pull-down apex design, is the apex line.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
even with steerable ones, etc. like that, they're really not much cop as soon as you're starting to get dragged. Now, me being me, the first thing I do is actually attach it to the front where it's easy to reach. Now, even at that, it takes quite a bit of practice to kill a pull-down apex.
Yeah.
If you then have it on a bridle, which is maybe a couple of foot long, and essentially it's above and behind you, you really do not want to be practicing trying to kill something like that with a paraglider, with wherever you happen to be that's probably not a nice, large, smooth grass field.
Right.
So that'd be one of the other things. I mean, on the show, you guys have mentioned this before, we've talked about zip lines and things like that. If you're going to be doing a repack, actually do some form of practice for deployment, whether it's just off a 10-foot embankment in a decent breeze with some friends there to grab, not you, but the reserve to kill it.
Right.
Just to get a wee bit of a feel of the tug.
Yeah.
But there is no doubt, if you're in the conditions where you're likely to deploy a reserve, the odds are that at ground level, you might have gusts, you might have a wind. You want to make sure that once you're on the ground, you can then survive that situation.
Do you fly with a hook knife, Murray?
Sorry?
Do you fly with a hook knife?
No.
No.
But then I don't fly with a reserve, so...
Right, okay. Fair enough.
Now, wait a minute, Murray, I'm not going to let you off the hook on that. Why don't you fly with a reserve?
Because almost all the flying that I'm doing is windy ridge flying.
And
I can think of very few things that are likely to injure you more quickly.
Yeah. And trying to throw a reserve from 20 feet.
So, in other words, you're well below the opening.
Well, even when I'm well above it, I mean, I can hold a full-out comp wing in a parachutal stall and descend 300 feet without it twitching and collapsing. Touch down with whichever toe I want on whichever fence post. Hold there for a minute, then take off and fly back up. You've got to appreciate that if you're doing hundreds of hours safety training a year, you're so in touch with your glider that on the half a dozen collapses that I've had in 1,300 hours, I wouldn't have deployed a reserve anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're flying with other people, if you're flying in competitions, if you're flying really big air cross-country, you've got to have a reserve.
Right, right.
If you're flying with a glider with lines, I would say they're all over than 100 hours old. You want to be flying with a reserve. I replace my A lines every 100 hours. I replace my complete set lines and risers at 300 hours.
I replace the wing at 300 hours.
Just about to put yet another complete set of lines and risers on one of my Vertexes.
Yeah. I might send you my little red one because it's about dead.
The Radical. That's a nice wing.
I know, it's a very nice one.
That.
It's got some 300 or so flying hours and at least as many ground handling hours on it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the one I took off in Forest Hill and flew right down the hill and then landed on the opposite side.
On the opposite side. I thought you were gone. I'm like, where the hell did Murray go? And the last I saw you, you were flying over the trees, the only trees on the whole hill, and I'm like, oh no, man, this is going to really suck.
Yeah, and then I just come walking the short distance across the top.
I don't know how many miles around the mountain.
Oh no, it wasn't that far, about a mile.
About a mile? Okay.
Still about a mile.
And Dad, I'm sorry. He's gone for 30 minutes, and I'm freezing to death. I'm just sitting in the car shaking. Like, I had to stop flying because I can't even open my hands anymore.
We've got to let the listeners know this is 30 Scottish minutes. This is temperature related.
Right.
We're talking 5 minutes California time.
Right, okay. Still, it's temperature related. Yeah, I'm just sitting there. I can't even open my hands to open the door to get into the car. And I'm just really worried. The last I saw Murray, he was flying over these really tall trees, and there's not a bunch of really tall trees in Scotland, and especially not on the hill that we were flying on, but that's where he was with the little red glider. And then it starts raining, and I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a long day. But no, he comes over, and he's complaining about it being too warm and this and that. And
well, I didn't have any gloves on.
It's true. I know, he didn't even have gloves on. Too much.
No, it's a nice flying glider, that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good little one.
It's definitely trimmed fast. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure it's as fast as my 22, but it's definitely a nice zippy glider. It flies very well. I was quite impressed with the independence. Yeah, got to admit that.
Cool. Good. Maybe we'll get you on them here in the near future.
I'm bringing my Novas with me.
I know you are.
Very much.
Well, it's because we don't have any in the shop, so you better bring them if you want to fly them.
I'm going to bring a brand new one though, because if the conditions are good, hopefully I'll get a couple of $100 if I'm over for a few weeks. So I thought, well, better bring a new one rather than an old one.
I think you can, mate. It's been on. It was pouring down rain last night, and I wake up this morning, and I'm going outside, and I'm looking around the clouds, and it was just everything was going up, And we're at this kind of classic springtime pattern for us now, where we get a front coming through every 2 or 3 days, and so the flying's good every day except for the 2 or 3 hours of rain, And the last few times it's come at night, so.
Well, the last weekend again, hopefully today, once the show's finished, I'll be zapping out, and we've got enough daylight now to get almost 2 hours after the end of the show, so that's quite nice.
Yeah, days are getting longer, huh?
You might have heard we're going down to a site that's about a 10-mile ridge down in Mexico.
Oh, you love this place, Murray.
It's Lazy Pilot site.
It's a place, it does get sometimes very windy, but what's nice is there's a place where you can actually stand on the beach in the sand and pull your glider up on the beach and walk kind of up a little sandy embankment about 5 feet and launch. And you can hang out on a 5-foot ridge on a windy day and be 40, 50, 100 feet over.
We've done that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
This place gets nutty. Yeah. It's a really nice place. And
at Victoria Park, I've been doing quite a lot of flying over the sea cliffs, which we weren't at. The bit we were at.
Right.
Right along at the far end, at the east end, goes on to the sea cliffs there, and there's bits where it's been so undercut, the original caves have fallen in.
Oh, wow.
And you just get some epic, the cliffs are, 50 foot high?
Right.
And you just take off, good day, you're getting 150 foot above them, and you're just flying backwards and forwards and round all the different bays.
We were well up there. The day that I got hurt was at a 50-foot hill down.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Sounds like fun. Well, Murray, when are you going to organize a Scotland tour for the California folks?
Anytime. Well, the thing is, although I've got to work around business, because obviously the bills have got to be paid,
right.
With what I do, if the weather's good, and I'm not actually taking any photographs that day, that's it, we're out. So any day, anybody want to come across.
What's prime time in Scotland? When's your best flying?
We've been through this. Anytime. It really is.
You mean you don't have a real good season?
Well, when will people from Southern California enjoy it the most?
Late summer.
Okay.
Late summer, August.
Autumn. Yeah. Yeah. Well, once the sort of world's warmed up.
And as far as like in your area of Scotland, are the accommodations? Is it a fairly expensive visit? Kind of get an idea.
Not particularly. There's a few of the sites which we either do management for or sort of do favours for photographically or whatever. That are bed and breakfasts. There's a lot of other activities. There's fishing station, both for sea fishing. There's inland fishing.
What's a typical bed and breakfast cost as far as pounds? What's a kind of a typical?
Probably from you can get really nice. Certainly down south you can get the hotel rooms. Gabriel, what's it, 20 quid or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it really is
$25.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
It might be slightly pricey from you guys' point of view with exchange rate. I'm not sure.
No,
it's not an excessively expensive country.
Right.
and
it's very
if
inexpensive.
you're out flying, it's all you're needing really is breakfast.
So okay, and so if we had a group come out there, what would be what you think would be a minimum or a fair amount of time that they would have to spend to get thoroughly acquainted with the country or with some of your local flying spots?
Well, I mean, you could spend, say, half a day and drive around 30 different sites, just to have a quick look.
Yeah. It's just rolling hills everywhere and ridges here and there and such.
I bought a wing from a girl quite a few years ago, and she'd done all her qualifications, and she'd been flying 5 years. She'd flown 8 hours, and we bought the wing for about a third of what she'd paid for it.
Right.
And she said, well, yeah, but you can't fly anywhere. You know, you've got to drive a sort of 3-hour drive to go flying.
Yeah.
Open your eyes, please. I mean, we've just got so many. It's not like Owens Valley. We're not talking massive, big flying. But if you just want to go out and have a great time, ridge soaring, bit of thermal, hopping hills. But nonetheless, while I might question one or two bits about certain flights, I mean, there was somebody on a tandem last year did 104 kilometres.
Really?
They took off from Glen Shee and they flew right over to the west coast.
Wow.
I would question being at 6,000 feet, looking down and seeing the white caps on the lochs. I would question flying when it's that windy.
Right.
But ignoring my personal views on things like that, I mean, we can get some really good flying.
It dries out quite a bit in the summer, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're on the east coast, and the weather coming from the west coast over where we are, we're a lot drier.
Right.
Visibility may drop badly when we get the sea breezes coming in, but if you drive 5 miles inland, you're in blazing sun.
Okay. Cool.
The other thing which you'll probably find a big difference at is cloud base, though. The cloud base here is much lower.
Yeah.
But in our neck of the woods, you've got a couple of slices of controlled airspace, Class A, at 5,500 feet. But once you're clear of those, and they're only 10 nautical miles wide, once you're clear of those, then essentially there's no controlled airspace up to whatever it is. I can't remember
18.
actually. I think it's until you get into Class B at 24,000 or something.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Good stuff, Murray.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of stuff we can lend any of your members. No problem at all.
We definitely do have to set something up. I've got a group of kids going to Switzerland in 2 months, and then maybe I should send another one out. And what do you say? 3 months? 4 months?
Anytime.
Okay.
I mean,
August.
seriously, anytime.
Yeah, August,
if
September.
you give me sort of about a month's notice, I can phone round as many different places as I can, try and sort of have a look at what the weather's likely to do. But the key, I would say, is finding out what they want to do.
Right.
In other words, if it looks like we're going to get good snowing, and they want to do a bit of skiing and a bit of paragliding, you know, snowboarding and paragliding, and they're wanting to just fly and come in the summer, have they got interest in other things in Scotland?
Right.
I mean, we've got such a range of activities. If you're into golf, there's all the golf courses.
Distilleries,
the whole thing.
all sorts of
Whiskey
stuff.
tasting.
Yeah, I mean, there is literally everything. The downside, of course, is no flying for 8 hours after that, but you can always do that in the evening.
Yeah, one thing that always impressed me about Scotland, I remember when I was last there, you walk into a bar and you see 60 different brands of Scotch whiskey, and you think, oh my God, I didn't know there were that many whiskeys in the world, you know?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's one place which we used to drop into coming back from Glen Shee all the time, and I actually did their daughter's wedding. And the guy there, he's quite an aficionado of whiskies, and there's one bottle that's, I think it's about 30 quid a nip.
Wow.
I mean, this
Really?
stuff, I think they leave it in the cask for about 60 years, and then they open it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a small country compared with what you're used to. It really is. It's smaller flying, but it can be stunningly good.
Yeah, but that's also what makes it nicer. It's not an hour and a half between sites, you know.
Yeah.
It's every other hill is another place to launch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, certainly when we get the sea breeze coming in and the visibility is going, I've seen me fly maybe 5 or 6 different sites in one day, and all that happens is we just drive inland, we go to another one. But if they expect to get the big flying which they might be used to, they're going to come over and be disappointed.
See,
if they want to see some beautiful scenery, follow the road is always the key here. If you're doing cross country, you just go along the road. You're not interested in doing fast cross countries.
Right.
You land, and apart from, I used to be able to say this, but I had to actually walk the other day because it was a car full of kids where the parents had stopped, and I was getting a bit cold. Believe it or not, I do sometimes get a bit cold.
Yeah.
And I landed, and I had to walk for 5 minutes back to the pickup.
Yeah.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
But usually, if it's a cross country where I'm doing 10, 20 clicks, I land, and there's so many small scenic car parks somebody says, "Oh, where have you come from? Oh, can we give you a lift back?"
Yeah.
3 minutes. Pack up the
amazing.
wing, in a car, back.
You know, Murray, I would actually say that would probably appeal to well over half, probably 75% of the pilots in the U.S. because most guys aren't into the big air, exciting. I got to hang on to the harness with my ass before I, kind of flying. They do it because of the aesthetic value of it.
And there's a lot of technical flying with the sides. You've got to be able to read the shape of the ridge, work every little bit.
Hey,
Short break or long break?
I don't know. I think this is a short one.
Short break.
I'll just hold on if you wish me to.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
Good. We'll be right back with you. World Talk Radio.